Hey, what it do, y'all? What it do? Just getting off work. Had a few things on my mind. Pretty long shift. But anywho. Well, my thoughts on relationships. You know, the first video that I did was cool, you know. But who knew that a year later there would be more to add to that. So let's talk about it. Well, I talked about different types of relationships in the previous video, and I want to continue on with that in this particular video. Well, let's talk about you know, here at this railroad track. Well, let's basically talk about the fact that with relationships per se, there are two different types of relationships that I've noticed, at least from my perspective. I've seen it more and more in this day and age. And of course, if you haven't seen my previous relationship video, look at that one. I'll provide a link to that video in the comment section below. And then come back and watch the rest of this video. But really where I'm at with all this is that in this day and age, the two different types of relationships I've noticed starting to occur a whole lot more often is ownership and rulership. You know, this is what you really see a lot of times take place. You know, when people be like, you're my girl, or that's my man. You know, we have this active ownership in our types of relationships that we have. You know, that's where we're at in society. You know, everything's based on our ownership. And, you know, more or less, you know, if you looked it up, you know, what you get out of that is basically the idea that, you know, is a relationship based on the act of owning or possessing something or someone. We do that quite a bit. We want to have ownership. A lot of times this really starts to have greater precedence over the idea of fidelity, you know, based on ownership. But also the other type of relationship reflects issues with fidelity too, which is rulership. If you look up rulership, it's based on an act of a relationship that's based on one having sovereign rule over another individual or another thing. So, you know, you rule with your rulership. You know, you look, you know, when I think of rulership, I think of you looking down on someone. They are your subject, you know? You are superior to them. And so I can see in a lot of cases, people have this rulership mentality amongst each other at times. You know, I like to see myself as more or less a teacher, but I've never looked down upon the woman in my life. So just to wrap this up, I mean, overall, just to get back to what I just said, you know, my idea as far as how I look at different types of relationships, with ownership, I don't really like to say that's my woman, that's my lady. I would prefer to say that she's the woman in my life instead. Yeah, I don't say that's my woman, I say that's the woman in my life. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to have ownership. You know, I don't want to feel possessive of her, because she can come and go at any moment. You know, I don't expect for a woman to stick around, but I appreciate if she does. So that takes away any notion of ownership from my perspective, right? So let's talk about the rulership to wrap that aspect up. I don't have this thing of, there's this whole idea of, you know, I think like a king, you know what I'm saying? And I think as far as being like a ruler, but not really from the standpoint of like reigning superior or supreme. It's just more or less just having rules, you know, like really codes of conduct, things that I adhere to in my life, principles. You know, I think about it like that. And of course, the ideal woman in my life takes heed to a lot of my codes of conduct. She likes how I move around with my mojo, and she's feeling it, and she wants to be a part of that. You know, because this goes along the lines of me believing that one of the highest forms of submission is subjection. So this kind of goes back to what I said before about, you know, in rulership, and, you know, when you have this rulership mentality, you make people subject to you, but that's different from my perspective of subject, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't look down upon a woman subjecting herself to me. She's not my subject. She just subjects herself to me. You know, one of the highest forms of submission. You know, and that just means she knows I'm solid, and she's sticking with that. She's really decided to subject herself as a part of me because she knows I'm solid like that, without me having to really rule with an iron fist over her, right? So I just thought I'd bring up, you know, just two more types of relationships based on the previous types of relationships I've talked about. And let me know what y'all think about that. Signing out.